like that.
Everything's great.
Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to Concordia University's fourth Space. Thank you for joining us for today's event, Space Day with Space Concordia. To help situate you, we are streaming to YouTube live from fourth Space, which is located on unceded Indigenous lands in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. Here at Fourth Space, we work with our university community to mobilize knowledge by co-creating daily activities to examine research questions and projects in development here at the university. We are running today's series of workshops and conversations as live stream meetings, so we welcome your comments and questions with a raised hand or via the chat if you're joining us by Zoom. For those of you who are here in the space, if you'd like to participate, just let us know. You can raise your hand. We'll be sure to get a microphone to you. With that, it is now my pleasure to pass the microphone to the electrical lead of Space Concordia and your facilitator today, Callum. Callum, go ahead.
Good morning, my name is Callum. I'm the electrical lead for our spacecraft division. And today I'll be doing a little soldering workshop. So I will do a demonstration first, and then you'll be able to come up and try it yourself. So first of all, when you're soldering, what you're doing is you're taking this sort of wire right here, and you're melting it in order to create electrical connections between your components and your PCB. So I'll be using this PCB here. And I will show you how to put an LED, which is a small light, onto the PCB. The first thing in terms of soldering is to make sure that you're taking care of all your safety. So you're going to be using this iron, which is hot. So you always want to be careful with that, and you always want to make sure that you're returning it to the stand when you're not using it. You always want to as well make sure that your workspace is clean and clear, that you're not putting random things around to make sure that you're being safe there. When you're using solder, so we're using unleaded solder today, which is not toxic, but it's always good practice to make sure that you're not touching your face or eating food, that you wash your hands afterwards. And just kind of generally use common sense and be aware that, there are some small risks. We also have little fans here, so you always want to solder in front of your fan, which is going to absorb any fumes that exist. So, the first thing that we're going to do is, my wire here. Okay, so when we start soldering, we're going to take our component and we're going to find where it goes in our PCB. So here I'm using an LED, so I want to make sure that I'm aligning. It has two sides, one leg is shorter and one leg is longer. So I want to make sure that I'm orienting everything in the right direction. So I'm going to slide my two legs. So my PCB has little holes in it for my components. So I slot my components into those holes, and then I'm just going to bend my legs slightly. Now what you're doing when you're soldering is I'm going to take this right here to hold it. Can we put the camera on the top view maybe to see better? Okay. I don't know if that's visible enough, but I'm going to take my wire here. And what I want to be doing, so I don't want to actually melt the wire directly with my soldering iron. What I'm going to be doing is actually applying heat. So there's a little metal part on my PCB where my leg goes through, and I'm going to apply heat to that and then melt the wire onto that part. So I have my iron and my wire. My first thing, I'm going to just put a little bit of solder on the tip. You always like to have a little bit of solder on your iron. It just keeps things nice and smooth and clean, and it prevents the tip from rusting. I also have this little pad here of metal stuff. It's just to clean my iron. So I'm going to take this. I will be arranging my wires. I will apply heat to this, and then I will melt my wire here. And I need to take a moment for it to get warm enough. And there we go. So I've melted my small bead, then I can remove my wire, and I'll do the other side. And there we go. So I now have my component attached right here, and then I'm just gonna let it cool, and then I will take some little tweezers right here, and I'm just going to clip it. And when I do that, I actually want to kind of make sure that I'm kind of holding the wire, not pointing it towards anyone. And there we go. And now you have a component that is attached to your PCB. So if some people want to go ahead and try, you guys can come up to the table. We can set, I guess, one person up on over here, and one person can come over here and try.
Beautiful, thank you. Exactly.
And yeah, afterwards, it's kind of the end of my little demonstration, but whoever wants to come up can go ahead and do so over the next period of time. Yeah, so we're gonna start with an LED. Great. Hello, what are all your names? Debor, nice to meet you. Jana, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. All right, so we only have 2 irons, so we're just gonna have 2 people go at a time. So we have these PCBs. We won't be doing the whole thing today because they're kind of complicated, but we can do some of these little lights. So if you wanna go ahead, you can take one of the lights.
Anyone, pick a card.
And, oh, I'm just gonna take one of these as well. Great. We just have 1 roll of solder, right?
We only have 1 roll.
Okay.
We can do though.
I'll make a long piece. Perfect. Oh, here. Here, I'll let you take a little board
You
here.
can do any of the lights.
Yeah, so when you take your LED, you're gonna see on your board, the long leg is gonna be your positive and the short leg is gonna be your negative. But you're gonna notice that on your LED, one side is rounded and one side is kind of, these don't really have, yeah, it's kind of flat and has a shorter leg. And you'll see on here that you have a circle and one side is kind of flat on your circle. It's on, like, if this is at the bottom, it's on the left side is the flat side. Do you kind of see that? Here, you have a circle and this side is just like a kind of flat.
Square?
Yeah. Here you have, it's just like a little bit flatter. Yeah, yeah. So you want to put your shorter leg on that flat side. And then you can slide that in and then just bend your legs a little bit so that it holds. That makes your life easier when you're soldering. Do you see which side?
I don't see the flat side.
Yeah, this side here, it's like kind of flat. It's a bit subtle.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. So then,
So that's where your shorter leg goes.
okay, so the negative.
Yeah, it's all.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get shorter leg is the flat side.
Yeah, shorter leg is the flat side. And then what you can do is you can use this to hold it. And you want it upside down, exactly, because that's where you're going to be doing the soldering. And are you left or right-handed? Perfect, so you can keep your solder on this side. No, it shouldn't. It's not like a super hard metal, and also this material is like pretty resistant. It's possible, like if you do design your PCB like poorly in terms of how you create your layers, and you have like sharp corners, then stuff can kind of peel off. But it is meant to have some amount of like durability. It shouldn't. The other thing would be if you ever like overheat it, then it might be like more vulnerable to being damaged, but otherwise no.
Are the ours over here for like are these built-in resistors?
So these are actually like surface mounted components. So you have these that are through hole that are the easiest to solder. And then these that are surface mount that you just put flat and then you heat up.
So there is a resistor in here, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So you can go ahead and use this. Just make sure, another thing when you're using your solder is that it does like melt, so you might feel like you're holding it far, but always like if you're heating it up for a long time, make sure that you're kind of moving your hand. Yeah, so you can start with just put a little bit of solder on your tip first. And I try to work over this just so I don't drop anything on the table. Oh, you can put your hand much closer. You're gonna have like better control. Exactly, just a little bit, and then just give it a turn. It helps to kind of remove that bead. Yeah, that should do. Yeah, you can put a little more like higher. You like the tip of your iron to look kind of shiny. And I'm just gonna move this fan a little bit closer as well. Perfect. And then you want to take the tip of this and put it on the pad. So the pad is that metal circle. Exactly. And then you can kind of touch this to the iron. Sometimes if you feel like it's not hot enough, you can use like the side instead of the tip. There you go. And then you kind of want to pull it away. So you see how here your bead is kind of messy. So what you can do is you can touch your iron to it without the solder, and then kind of pull away and like either upwards or like out to the side. Just reheat it to kind of change the shape a little bit, if that makes sense.
I don't want to damage it. All right, so.
Oh, you're not going to damage it with the heat, don't worry. Yeah, that should be okay.
Sure, why not? Go for it, yeah, so feel free. Pick a card, any card, it's all good. Oh yeah, so with these, it's just like, it's like a fire almost, right? Okay, exactly.
Yeah, that should be good.
Then we'll set you free, sound good?
Yeah, put it back in here. Then you can use that to clip the ends, and just hold on to the ends of the wires so that they don't fly in your eyes while you're clipping them.
Health insurance should cover.
You have to let it loose and it will open, yeah, and then close it.
No, when I started flying, but it's a different story.
You can actually cut it like much closer. Like even if you cut off some of the solder, like that's fine. You can also use the magnifying glass if you're having trouble to see it, yeah. Yeah, just hold on to this, perfect. Do you want to try another one? Okay, perfect. Here, I think it might be easier if you just swap seats. That way we don't have to constantly rotate the setup.
It's a gateway drug. Soon you'll be building whole computers, man.
I hope so.
Yeah, exactly. And you can use both clips or just one. It's really, sometimes you put it on the table. It's always personal preference of how you like to arrange your board. Great, so you have your wire, you have your iron. Yeah.
Hey, first joint's all by yourself, that's awesome. Yeah, feel free to click the lead.
Already on, right?
Yes. Sometimes you'll have irons that have like a dial and stuff to change the heat, but these are just like one heat, one setting.
Another idea, just put your finger over it, exactly, there you go.
Yeah, so you like to just kind of touch the side with the wire to make sure that you like kind of have some solder on it. Yeah, so what you want to do is you actually touch your iron to the pad first before you touch your wire, because you want to heat it up and then you'll add your wire in there. Yeah, exactly.
Part of Space Concordia.
Yeah, that's good. And then if you want to kind of smoothen out the bead, you can retouch it with just the iron without the wire and just kind of pull it off in a smoother motion. Kind of towards the wire can kind of give you like a nice smooth bead. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a practice to get the right motion. Right now it's like you have an electrical connection, and then as you get better, you get the like cleaner aesthetic beads. Unleaded solder is also a little bit more difficult to work with than leaded solder, but it's less toxic, so you know, you win some, you lose some.
All right, we got a free open chair, so if anyone wants to try their hand out soldering, I'm ready. All right.
Nice.
That one looks better.
Yeah, that looks a lot better. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Jacob, good to meet you. First year recording?
Yeah, always clean it
Good way to start the
first.
season. All right, so You heard most of the story, right? Saw this lovely board. So feel free to pick out any LED.
Great,
It's
and
all
then you
good.
can
They're
clip
all
off your
different colors,
ends.
but it's all good. So
And you really want to clip that as close to the board as you can, because you don't want those rough edges like
I'll walk you
underneath.
through kind of like how to do half the LED kind of halfway, and then I'll let you do one yourself. Okay. Excellent. So with these PCBs.
Perfect, and you can remove the next one.
Exactly. So what you want to find on the LED is that flat edge. So it's on the side of the LED. It's usually on the short leg, right? See that little short leg? So that's the flat side. It's on
Nice.
where the flat leg is. That's the flat side.
Yeah, exactly.
So you want to insert the LED.
If you guys want to do another one, you can. I can also show you like how to remove solder. So we also have this little coil right here. And this is basically like, it's a copper kind of sponge, so it's braided. And you can see that when you push it like this, it's very loose. So whenever you put like too much solder, you can use a tool like this to remove it. And then we also have this tool right here, which is a solder sucker. So if you want to like remove a component, you can use this to kind of suck that up. It doesn't punch a hole. So basically you heat up the solder and this absorbs it.
Okay, so
So if you guys want to try that after, we can do that too.
So this is the soldering iron. As you can see, it's hot enough to melt metal.
We can do another LED if you want to try this as well. Sure. So that you would put here, you have your plus and minus. So this here is a battery connector, so it connects to a battery. And by convention, your red wire is always positive, your black wire is always negative. So actually you would want to, oh yeah, perfect, yeah, you have black and red, perfect. So these are already stripped, so they're a bit big for the hole, but what you can do, sometimes you might just need to hold it, so you can put one in first. You can just kind of bend it to the side.
That's actually cool stuff.
Yeah, and then you can place it, if you find it easier to put it like on the table versus putting it in these. If you wanted to hold the board with one of these and hold this with the other one, you could do that too.
There's no excess material to pull that down. So we use this wire usually for mixture of tin and silver, all that kind of fun stuff. So nothing toxic. Well, it's not food safe either, so don't eat it. Even though it might be tasty.
Okay.
What color is the LED?
I don't know which one I took it from, but we have different colors.
Keep going here. Feel free to let me know.
I think it's going to be around.
All right. So what we got here is what we call the. What's the word? What's the word when you actually bridge two contacts?
A short?
Yeah, there we go. So what we got here is a short, right? So it's not the end of the world. It's super easy to fix.
And then after, I can also show you guys how to do the really tiny like surface mount ones if you want to try that. It can be a bit frustrating, but it is interesting to try.
Gotta start getting frustrated.
So just
Exactly. If you're comfortable allowing yourself to get frustrated, then you'll be able to like learn more stuff. Yeah, you can add a little bit. You just like to have your iron stay shiny. So you can look at it and say, is it still kind of that metal shiny or not? And when I'm doing that, like it's called tinning. When you put a bit of solder on your tip, I actually put it more on the side than on the tip, because then I can put it on the side and kind of roll it around my iron. Yeah, exactly.
So when it comes to like solder safety, which like would it be the wire that you want to get like a good material for, or is it the solder itself?
Thank you.
All
right. You want to try your own?
Yeah, so it is like this wire that you're soldering with, that is your solder. So you can see, like, I'll just show him real quick. On this it says lead-free solder, and it'll also usually tell you on the packaging. I don't know if it's on this spool, but it's probably on the box it came in, like the materials. So you can always look at the materials and see what it's made out of. We actually use lead for all of our like boards that we do for our projects, just because leaded solder tends to work better. And when we're sending stuff to space, like the lead just has a stronger mechanical connection than the unleaded solders, so it works better. So when you're using leaded solder, you just want to be sure to like have good ventilation in your space, and then of course be careful that like I'm washing my hands after I'm using it and things like that.
It's like practice and fun solder, and then like for real solder.
Exactly. I mean, you can use unleaded solder for like actual projects as well. It just depends on what application you're using.
Try and touch the other joint. So give it a kiss of solder. Just the one on the bottom. Yeah, the one closest to your face.
Yeah, but a lot of safety is like avoid dangerous materials, but sometimes you do use dangerous things, and it's like, what are the practices around that, right?
Beautiful. There you
Yeah.
go, man. All right, yeah, put the leads.
Is this your first time soldering?
Yourself, man.
Okay, nice. Are you in your first year or?
First year in mechanical engineering, I just finished that dossier.
Nice.
The only electrical stuff I did was like electricity magnetism. So I know enough about like circuits, but not the actual thing. Like I just saw the pictures. But not
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Beautiful. Well, there
I
you go.
love having mechanical people who are like interested in learning other stuff. I think that's great.
Thank you so much for attending the workshop. I really appreciate it. So yeah, feel free to join the crowd again, or feel free to go explore our exhibits. We've got a lot of stuff going on today. Sounds good.
Do we have tweezers?
Oh, we do have tweet. I believe they were in this box at the bottom.
Okay, sick.
Back in the box.
Go ahead.
All right.
If anyone
You got a
else
free
wants to
chair?
come up, you're welcome to.
Who would like to try their hand at the weight of the solder? Excellent. Oh, we got a contender here. Feel free to join. It's all good.
You can keep it if you want. Up to you.
If you'd like, you can come sit up front here. You can kind of watch how it kind of goes.
Actually, it's not really good, but
Yeah.
Maybe.
right, but
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Well,
wait, do we get to keep the board?
no, we don't. Unfortunately, we gotta make sure we give everyone equal opportunity. But thank you so much for asking.
Oh, I just told her she could keep the board.
Oh shit! Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's okay.
All right. Yeah. So, name is Seth. Good to meet you. Forgot your name.
I'm worried that maybe I didn't plug it into the right one.
Excellent. All right. So,
Right? Positive and negative.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
I think you're good. Oh, this one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you have plus and minus. Perfect.
LED solder workshop. So, first time solder. Excellent. So, what we got here is your first.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, it's called tinning, and you like to always have a little bit of solder on the tip of your iron. And what it does is it just protects the tip, it prevents rust, and also like if once your tip is coated, then the solder that you're using is going where you want it to. It's not going to have like extra. Otherwise, it might just stick to your iron instead of to your board. But it's also important, like before you put your iron away, because it protects it and it will give it a longer life.
That looks nice.
Yeah, that looks
That
good.
looks nice. I like that one.
It's like a little bit, a lot. You could ideally have like a little bit less.
Oh, yeah.
You can also move your chair around if you want to.
There we go. You can see the flat side on that side. Excellent. So what you want to do is you want to put that flat side relatively match the flat
I'm like actually getting in here.
I feel like you're kind of touching the other one. Well, right now you also have a lot on your tip, so I would say try kind of brush some of it off. I like to use a rolling motion. I find that's kind of the best way to get what I want on it. Yeah, exactly. You can turn this away if you're not using it.
What we'll do next is I'll walk you through how to solder one half, and you can try and solder the other half. And watch the soldering over there. Okay? Beautiful. How are we for time?
We're fine. Perfect. Yeah, that looks better. And if you want, so what we can do, so we can use this.
Really hot, we'll call it touch it.
Don't.
So,
I can cut this with this
or
guy.
if you're unsure, ask me. So I'll just clean the tip here, make sure nice.
So you can take the tip of this. What you're gonna do is you wanna rest it on top, and then you're just gonna heat it up from the top, and this will absorb it. It might take a second to heat up through there. Yeah, it might be a bit hot. Here, let me see.
Trying to get a good look at the camera.
Might be easier if we're the way I'll usually do it. Sometimes it's easier to use kind of the side of the iron. And then the sleeve's getting kind of hot. Yeah. The solder is a little bit difficult. Yeah. Unleaded solder is a little bit finickier to work with sometimes. But you can see we absorbed a little bit with this. Yeah.
Do I apply the heat to like the copper wire, or do I apply it straight to the?
So I normally like to apply the heat to the wire, and then it will absorb from underneath. But this is not the iron I'm used to using, so it might be like not getting hot enough. So then you can apply it to this maybe instead. And then kind of absorb it. And then kind of use a little motion there to smooth it out. Do something like that.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Right.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Lady on the board.
Yeah, I think we'll keep it and then.
There you go.
Perfect.
Go through the motions.
No problem. Enjoy the rest of your day.
So far, so good.
Do you want to come over here and try?
Excellent.
Great. Let's go right here. Great. Hi, I'm Callum. What's your name?
Sasha?
Sasha. Nice to meet you. So have you soldered before?
Never.
Perfect. And then I guess you saw kind of Ben demonstrating.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we can go ahead and take this board right here. Actually, we'll use one that's.
Could we give a quick scrub?
Oh yeah, there's.
Beautiful.
Oh, you can take that one. Perfect. Actually, I'm going to use this one. 'Cause it's... Yeah, you can take this one. Here, I'll just pull this guy out. Perfect, and that's in the right direction. You put your positive and negative on the right side.
Oh, there's a positive and negative?
Yeah, so you see how one leg is longer and one leg is shorter?
Yeah.
So the shorter leg is always your negative. And then on your PCB, you see how like on the side here, it's a little bit flat and the rest is round. So that's where your negative goes with the little flat side.
I don't see the fly in the...
So here, this edge right there is like a little bit flatter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's negative, that's positive when it's round?
Yeah, exactly. And the reason the flat represents the negative is because on the LED as well, you can feel that there's like a little flat part where that negative leg is.
Okay.
So now you can just spread those a little bit so that it holds. Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't need to hold when shaken, but just that you don't have to hold onto it while you're soldering. And then you can clip it to this. And if you want to use the magnifying glass, you can. Otherwise, you can turn it away.
This way? With this?
Yeah. And this is just a tool to help you hold the PCB. There's no like right way to put it in there. The arms are movable. It's really about what you're comfortable with. Perfect.
Nice to have.
Even if you use the magnifying glass, you'll still want to turn it so it's towards you.
Okay, I don't see it the microphone.
Then you can kind of turn it.
Like that?
Yeah. The reason is you don't want to be soldering from behind this because then you kind of gets in the way. Yeah, this is a little fan that's just absorbing the air.
So I've never used this before. I know I have to be very careful. So yeah, I press this.
It's actually already on. So this one heats up by itself. So here's your wire. So you can hold this in one hand.
What am I? Okay, I don't have to do that.
Okay. So basically what I'm going to do, here, if you show me, I'll take my wire, and then I'm going to just heat up the side of my iron a little bit so I have a little bit of solder paste on there. I like the tip of my iron to stay nice and shiny. It just helps protect the tip and work better. Perfect. And then what you're gonna do is you take your iron, I'm gonna touch the pad, heat it up, and then I'm gonna touch the wire to it, and then it'll melt together. But obviously with the wire like sticking out of it. Also, like if ever you take it off, there's not enough, you can put it back on, so you don't need to feel like I don't know, stress out about it. It's very if it solidifies, it can melt again.
So you could do this here, like.
Yeah, so you actually want to touch the iron first to heat up. What you want to do really is you want to heat up this pad, which is this little metal circle. Yeah, this is just to coat the tip. And then you're going to touch your tip of the iron. Touch your iron tip.
Like this?
Just to the pad.
So the pad with this sticking out like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. It looks pretty good. Hi.
So that worked?
Yeah, that worked. And what you can do is you can always just reheat it with the iron if you want to smooth it out, kind of make it like a nicer shape.
Reheat it with that. Yeah. How do I make it nice? So I can reheat the iron?
See how I can show you. So what you can do, I'll just move this so we can see, is, okay, you see how it's kind of sticking out to the side?
Yes.
So I can just touch my iron again to this, it'll melt, and then I can kind of pull it towards my leg and get just like a nicer, smoother shape on it, if that makes sense. So here you go, you can go ahead and do the second leg.
Don't touch the iron where you don't want.
You can do the second leg first and then trim both of them at the same time. You don't need to put more solder again. You can see the tip of your iron is kind of shiny.
Solder wire. So walk you through. So you're left-handed, right-handed. Excellent. So grab the iron with your right hand. Hold it kind of like a pencil almost.
Sometimes you just need to be patient.
What you want to do then is you want to have your iron, you want to kind of lay it right in between the contacts.
Yeah, just hold it there for a moment and then it will slowly melt.
Both sides, right?
And it might be easier if you kind of use the side of the iron rather than just the tip. No, not as in like, if you touch a little bit like this rather than with just the tip, and then just hold it, it should heat up.
Oh, yeah, now it's moving.
Yeah. There you go, and then you can pull that away.
One joint down.
Yeah, and smooth it out. Perfect.
There we go. Oh, yeah. Put that back here. No, I put it out.
Yes. Just hold the wire with your hand too, because you don't want it to fly into your eyes.
It's a lot easier to work with. It just has a lower melting. Whereas solder or like non-leaded stuff has a.
This one still has a little bit sticking out though.
Oh, a bit of wire? That's okay.
Yeah, do I add a little more?
If you want, if you can.
Like generally?
You'd want to get it as close as you can to the PCB. Hi. Do you guys? Yeah, absolutely. If you guys want to like take a seat, and you can try after these guys.
I do like this trick.
Yep, engage safety splits. Well, thank you so much for trying out soldering. So if you still want to learn more about electronics, I recommend you check out the tech sandbox upstairs. And there's also IEEE Concordia and also Space Concordia as well. We're open to anyone everywhere, so feel free to try it out.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great.
So what does this do? This is like a light that's just like...
Yeah, so this board, when it's finished, it looks like this. So it's basically a dice randomizer. So these different chips will produce random numbers. And then when you press it, it will light up.
Can I try this one?
Oh, here, if I can find a battery. Oh, they're here. Ooh.
Going a little further back into your knowledge, have you done any soldering before?
No.
First time?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, it's backwards.
Yeah, so this is the back of the PCB, and this is the front. And all these little lines you see, these are so underneath the green, there's layers of copper, and that's what connects your components. And so all these lines are all the connections between your components.
Oh.
And so there's some connection, there's 2 layers of copper, so there's connections on both sides. So if we clip this, I don't know that this board was soldered properly. Yeah, I don't think this one is working.
So it's supposed to like light up 1 and then light up 6?
Yeah, exactly. So it should light up like randomly in different numbers. But I don't think this board was soldered properly. But that's kind of what it does.
So the is it a transformer?
This is a capacitor. So this is a big capacitor. These are microchips. So one of these is a number generator, and then we have some logic gates. Here we have diodes, and these are all little resistors.
Do they have to be soldered too, or?
Yeah, these are all soldered as well. So these are soldered in a different way. So they're surface mount components, which means that you see these are just like flat pads instead of holes through.
Yeah.
So you solder them like on the surface.
Okay. Can I try doing the capacitor?
Yes.
Iron tip for too long while it's powered on, it'll actually rust. And then you won't be able to solder it. Clean it or so in soldering, never ever touch the metal side. So you guys are very appreciative of this. Because this is hot. It's like I think 300
This is really stuck. All right, so here you have your capacitor.
Yeah.
This is a polarized capacitor. So some capacitors don't have a direction. There's no positive or negative. You can put it on either way. This one is polarized. It does. So you see there's a stripe on the side.
Yeah.
This is showing that it's the negative side. And you also see the leg is shorter, like the LED.
Yeah, the shorter really, it's very helpful, the shorter.
Yeah, and then on here, that little white stripe is the negative side.
Can I cut like this part that's like really punched out, or can
Yeah,
I?
you can trim it if you want. As long as, yeah, you still have your stripe so you know which side is your negative side. So if it's easier for you, you can trim it.
I'll try and make this one's shorter anyway, so I'll try and make this one.
Well, because you have your stripe, you should be able to remember. You don't need to change the lengths.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's just
Exactly.
hotter, you do that.
Yeah, and these polarized capacitors specifically, it's very important to put them in the right direction or they'll kind of like blow up. Not that dramatically, but definitely enough to be scary.
Like it starts like smoking.
Yeah, I mean the component itself will like break. Yeah, and will like smoke. Perfect.
So you have your sort of
That one want to bend properly.
it's a little bit of finagling.
There's not really like a proper bend, it's just whatever holds it down. So that should be okay.
It's so loose though. That's what like. There's this. It's like floating. Ow.
Yeah, that should be okay. Because even if it feels loose now, like once the wire is soldered, like they won't be able to move within the pad. Yes.
Clean it, I guess. This cleans it.
It kind of just protects the tip. This wire stuff cleans it. Before you go, you just want to, I like to use a rolling motion. You don't want clumps on the end. You just want a smooth layer. Because when you have those clumps, then you tend to get kind of a messy connection because they'll want to come off onto your board.
There we go. All right.
Yeah, that should be good.
Oh, beautiful! Look at that.
Amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll take those components. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. No worries. You want to try another LED?
Yeah, sure. I'll do it. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. So. Yeah. It's like a little exactly little blocks. Yeah. Plug the LED.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if your wire gets stuck, you just heat it up, and then you'll be able to pull it off.
Yeah. You want to check the flat side. The flat side against the flat side. This would be the short leg is the flat side of the leg.
Yeah.
This one did not.
Yeah, so you have a lot of solder on this one. So what you can do is you can use this little braided wire, and this can absorb some of the solder. So you'll take your iron and you'll heat up the solder again, and you'll place this on it at the same time. So I can kind of show you here. So what you do is you kind of touch your iron to here.
Why does it come off when it's copper?
It's not because it's copper. It's actually because it's a braid. So the solder is attracted to metal. So it wants to stick to metal, and then because this is a braid, it's like very absorbent because there's like a lot in it. This unleaded solder doesn't absorb as well though as the other one. It's stuck.
It's tricky. It takes a little bit of finagling, but we're working on it.
I'll do that. There we go. I think that should be okay.
So when I snap it, I'm gonna have to. Well, it's gonna be hot, right? The whole thing's hot.
Well, it will cool down. If you give it a second, like it will cool down, and then you'll be able to snap it. But it might be a bit tough to cut because there's a lot of solder. The other tool that we actually have for removing solder is this guy here. So this is a solder sucker, and so you push it down, and when you press the button, it pops back up. So what you do with this tool is you heat it up.
It works. There you go. Exactly.
My solder should be nice and hot. And then this guy should, I don't know if this is hot enough, but absorb some. And then when you push it down, you see that, oh, it didn't. Sometimes you'll see a little bead fall out. Yeah, you see a little bead, so that's what got sucked up. And now you have a bit less solder on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other leg.
So yeah, that actually looks better. Now.
Yeah, that worked better.
Like if I put the
Mm-hmm.
you can see that there actually is like it's like covering the whole neck.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll see you there. Hopefully I'll see you around.
Sure. So now it's
Yeah, you too. All right, any takers? We got a spare chair? Spare chair! Woo! Go for it. It's all good. All right, watch the here.
Would anyone else in the audience want to go participate? They have some spare chairs. We have about half an hour left here. So if you haven't had a chance, please go ahead and take that opportunity.
As for my little affiliation with Space Concordia, part of the spacecraft division, I do radio stuff for communications. So, yeah, let's solder. Before we do that, though, see ya. All right, excellent. So, were you here for the safety briefing?
Space stuff.
Excellent. So, you know, like, don't
Yeah, so
solder that stuff?
Well, these are just like practice boards. This is not something that we like specifically do in our satellite, but we do like PCB design. So I'm part of the spacecraft team, and I'm the lead for the electrical team. So we like design our schematics, we design our PCBs. So we use a software to come up with a design. We order it, we get the board, and we solder it. We do some hand soldering with an iron, but then you can also do soldering using an oven. So a lot of our boards will make like a paste, we'll spread a paste on it, put our components on top and cook it in the oven. So there's like different techniques depending on what you're doing for how to solder. Hi, good, how are you? It's going, yeah, it's going well. How are you doing? Okay, perfect. Okay, I think we're good for now, but Ben does have to leave in a bit, so we might need help then. It's not. It's after this, I think. Yeah, it's later in the day. I think from like 1 to, I don't know the time, maybe 1 to 2:30 or something like that. Yeah. So it'll be a bit later.
Because it's magnetic, it's like less gonna go in my face.
That doesn't really, I don't think it's magnetic.
So I can't really tell what.
Oh, it might have some iron in it.
It's an exact mixture of metals. It's I think it's silver, tin,
Is that
something
a good
else.
way to cover yourself so you don't get it in your eye?
Yeah, or if you just make sure you're pointing it away from people.
Maybe it's too much solder.
Yeah, I'll solder first. I'll show you first how to solder.
The other thing you
So
can
it's like the
do.
satellites, which is like traveling the world, like kind of.
This is pretty solid. So our satellite, it gets launched from the ISS, and then basically they have a deployment arm that launches it out, and then it will orbit the Earth for 6 months, about approximately, and basically it orbits the Earth until it disintegrates. So it will start at the highest and then slowly go down.
I didn't know it disintegrates.
Yeah, it doesn't. You don't get it back after, but it will go around the Earth. I think it takes about an hour and a half normally for it to go around the Earth, so it will do a lot of rotations around the Earth before the end of its life. Yep. Yeah, and our satellite will be trying to grow yeast and also taking images to try and detect forest fires. So it has kind of two different functionalities.
So it's going to be like around BC then? Or like it goes around the world?
It goes around the whole world. So the images that will actually be in Quebec and Ontario, because there's been a lot of forest fires in those regions recently. And then the yeast, it will grow. It just doesn't matter really where. It's more to be like in the atmosphere or like outside of the atmosphere and see if the yeast kind of survives with that like zero gravity.
So you give this satellite to like NASA, they launch it from the ISS?
Yeah, exactly. So the previous satellite, it launched on a rocket from Florida, and then it went to the ISS, and from there they launched it.
And they can only carry like one satellite at a time?
No, when we send it up, it will be on a rocket that's carrying like supplies and other things. Like, they don't send it up just the satellite by itself. They'll send up like a bunch of stuff at the same time.
Can't rocket ships like only hold like one satellite?
Well, because it's very small, so we're building a CubeSat, so it's about 30 centimeters by 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters. If you go to like the tables at the front later, I think they have like a demo of like an engineering model of one of our satellites. So they can actually carry like several.
So the flat side is on the short side, right?
It melts the parts that are sticking up. Is that like smart or?
I think that's kind of just your wire, so I don't think it's really gonna melt anymore.
Oh, it's like excess that melts? It won't melt the actual wire?
Well, it's the wire from like the capacitor, right? So that's not gonna melt. This is not like a meltable material.
Oh, okay.
Because if this melted, then the connection to your components would not stay solid.
So first thing you want to do is you want to clean iron.
more, but it's very.
Yeah, I think you'll just have to leave it. I don't think. Oh, you got a bit more. Yeah, I think it's gonna stay like
Like if
this.
I put it flat to the PCB, it's called, right?
Yeah.
More solder?
There we go.
Oh, there. That's better. Perfect.
And it's pressed down in place properly.
Yeah.
Alright, one more time.
Yeah, that should be good.
So it's not about the actual length that makes it positive, negative. It's just the battery inside.
Yeah, so the length is a visual indicator for us. Like the reason they leave those legs a different length is so that I can look at it and know that this is my negative side, but it doesn't actually like change what's positive or negative. Yeah, it's whatever is inside of here that makes it positive or negative.
Take another picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at that. Beautiful. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Good job. Thank you. You too.
Excellent. Yep.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come up and try some soldering?
Beautiful, man. There you go. Holy crap. That's excellent. So, you're interested in electronics, welding, or all that kind of
Hi. What's your name? Victor. Nice to meet you. I'm Callum.
You've already got the steel or not.
So is this your first time soldering? Perfect. Were you here at the beginning when I did the demo or no? Okay, perfect. So I'll explain it again. So we have our PCB here. This is a printed circuit board. So we're going to start off with soldering an LED. So you have your LED. You see that your legs are 2 different lengths. And so you know that your shorter leg is your negative side and your longer leg is your positive side. If I look at my PCB, this is where my LEDs go. I see that here I have a circle and here it's like a little bit flat. So that flat is my negative. So I take my component, I slide it in, and then I just bend the legs a little bit so that it holds by itself. Yes, exactly. So you can go ahead and do the same on this board.
Awesome, you too. All right, we got a free chair. Come on, come up. Excellent.
Yeah, and then you can kind of bend the legs so it holds by itself. Then, if you want, you can use this tool to hold onto the board while you're soldering. That makes it a bit easier. You actually want to do it upside down because you'll be doing it from underneath. So this is your soldering iron.
I never asked your name.
The tip is very hot, so obviously you don't want to touch it. This is a ventilator, so it's just absorbing any smoke that comes from the wire. This is lead-free solder, so it's like safer to use, but it's still good practice to like absorb any fumes that are there. First thing I like to do is I put a little bit of solder on the tip of my iron. This is called tinning, and it just kind of protects the tip. And then I like to roll it in this right here. I like when the tip of my iron is kind of shiny. It works better. Then what I want to do is I'm going to, so this little metal ring right here, this is the pad. So what I do is I want to touch the pad with this, and then touch the wire to the pad. So this is my solder wire. And then you see it's going to melt, and then I just want to make a nice smooth little bubble there, and that will be connected. And this is conductive, and so it will, through this, and this will then like conduct electricity basically. So if you want to go ahead and try.
Put it in like so. And I'll walk you through how to solder one half of it, and you do one half. And then we'll throw you right in the fire, and make you do one by yourself.
If your wire gets stuck, you can just reheat it, and then you'll be able to pull it away. It takes a couple seconds of contact before it gets hot enough to melt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just when it sits there for so long while it's hot, it'll just like get rusty and nasty. So, exactly.
If it's not getting hot enough, then you can use kind of the side of the point rather than like the point.
You're making contact with both pad on the circuit board.
And then you just have to wait a couple seconds. There you go.
So you make sure you're getting both connection pad and the LED. You just want to add tiny bits of solder. That's at a time.
Perfect. And then yeah, if you want to just smooth it out, you can reheat it with the iron.
That can work. Exactly. So that's all we need to get contact. So after you got your 1 lead solder, Come in with your side cutters.
This is okay.
That was a bad
Yeah,
idea.
that should be okay. If you want to reheat it to make it a bit smoother, like
Alright, so
aesthetically nicer, it's fine. But the important part is you really want to make sure that like that little hole you see is filled, so then you know it's connected. And here I can see that, okay, I'm not seeing my hole. This is connected.
yeah, so we gave a spiel earlier on what the board does, kind of what we do with that solder.
Yeah, you can do the other leg as well.
But if you want to try your hand out, feel free to join the crowd. When these guys are done, we'll call some people up, try their hand out at soldering. Get to solder a couple LEDs.
Okay, I'm super not handy, like, but I think I'm gonna try it.
Hey, hell yeah. Good
I
stuff.
was looking more into like what's it called? Space health? Space health, yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
more biology.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they need people, so.
They do need
A
people.
couple days
so-
ago, I was looking at clubs and stuff,
Oh yeah.
and I was like, I saw Space Concordia, I'm like, man, I'm gonna join this like,
Hell yeah.
any way I can. So it kind of works for me, like this space.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah, there should be people from Space Health, I think, like at the
Well,
front.
no, I did ask information, so I did get information.
Okay, perfect.
Whatever I don't have because they're missing members.
Okay, okay.
So like a robotic girl that
Right.
explained to me, but I think I got the gist of it.
Okay. And the robotics team actually also has a science team as well.
Yeah.
There's like two options
But
there.
I'm biology, so I have no, like,
Okay,
robotics
yeah.
is really not my field.
That's fair, that's fair.
But still, it would be nice to try it. Like, maybe
Yeah, yeah, if you want to try some soldering, absolutely.
Have a little more solder.
All right, perfect. So now what you can do is you can take this and just trim your legs. So you put your iron back in there. When I'm trimming the leg, I just make sure that I'm holding on to it so it doesn't fly in my eyes, and then clip it, and that's that. And you want to kind of clip it as close as you can to the board.
Looks good. That'll work. So what you can do? Side cutter. Yeah, make sure you go. Also, we'll find them and never find them again. Beautiful. There we go. One LED down. So we'll do one more. I'll make you do one more. So, what do you do first? You gotta check for clarity, right? You wanna find that flat side of the LED. It's on the short side.
Yeah, that's good. You can leave that little solder bead. You don't need to remove it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, flip around one more. There we go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because LEDs are polarized. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't see the diagram.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, little flat side of it. Yeah, put it in.
Excellent.
There we go. All right, hold it in. Fold the leads out. No. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, don't fold it all the way flat, or else it'll kind of be hard to clip the leads when you're done. Sorry about that.
Stuff to make smooth
the whole-
down the soldering iron
Beautiful.
Yes, definitely. So you can always, like, the solder will always melt again, so you can reheat it. And when you want to smooth it, it's really about the motion when you pull away your iron. So if you kind of pull away, like, down and towards your pad, then you'll get, like, that nice solder shape.
Leave it there for a couple seconds. A little more soldering down. It's a little stubborn.
So if you use kind of the side of the tip, it heats a bit better, but you also just have to hold it there for a couple seconds, and you'll see once it gets liquid, then you can manipulate it.
Other workshop.
So this one is until 12:30, I think. I'm not sure what time it is.
It's 12:16.
Okay.
15 minutes. Okay. And what's the other workshop?
I think there's an embedded development workshop. I'm not exactly sure what they're doing for that
What
one.
division are you in?
I'm in the spacecraft division, so I'm the
Spacecraft. Okay,
yeah.
What do you guys do in spacecraft?
So we're building a CubeSat. So at the front they actually have a model, but it's basically a tiny
Yeah, I
satellite.
saw that.
and it does two things. So it will try and grow yeast, and it will also take pictures
I
for
like it was online.
fire
like,
detection.
On
Yeah.
your guys' website, like this one, like the nano satellite.
Yeah, exactly.
That sold me. I was like, oh god, I didn't know we could send like satellite photos.
Yeah, and it's like a project like through the CSA. So we give like presentations to them. Like in a couple of weeks, I'm going there for like a workshop. So it's a pretty like cool thing to be a part of. Yeah, and then I'm on the electrical team, so we build the whole electrical system. Like we design all of our schematics, all of our PCBs, we build them.
So you really worked on like those.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have you like worked on one that got sent?
I personally haven't.
Okay.
Some of our members who have been here longer did, but I started on the current project.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Maybe what exactly is
And do like all the divisions work together? Like I guess they work
So in terms of like our projects, we work on separate projects, but we share like workspaces and we do events together. So we do interact with like other divisions. And also like if you join one division and decide you want to switch to another division, you can do that. If you're in one subsystem and you're like, hey, I don't want to do mechanical anymore, I want to work on others like thermal stuff, you can do that, absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you like to try another one? Okay, perfect.
Let's try hand-up soldering. Depends on how long you want to take.
Here, if you want to do a second one, go ahead.
Half an hour? No, preferably not.
Preferably not.
No, but we're gonna make you. Well,
You know what, I'm gonna make you. You know what,
I'm
let's
gonna
try.
willingly force you to solder two LEDs. It's one of these local circuit boards. Let's see what we can do here. Beautiful. All right. So,
Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to come up and try some soldering?
I think we're all good, yeah?
All right, perfect.
Excellent. So we'll get you a nice fresh board, fresh out of the pack. So I believe you were you here for the safety brief?
The what?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, we'll quickly walk you through, make sure you don't hurt yourself, all that kind of fun stuff. So, what we got here is a lovely printed circuit board designed by our team truly. Doesn't work, so it makes sense. All right. So name of the game here today is we're soldering one of these 7 LEDs, or rather 2. I'll solder one half of the LED, and you solder the other half in one. So it works out. So, when you look at these little circles here, what do you see? There's a little flat side, right? Exactly. So with these LEDs, they're polarized. So you ever go in one lane and you put them the other way, the LEDs won't work, or they might blow up, you're wasting the amount of smoke. You don't want that. So, when you want to how to identify that flat side, is look at the LED. You want to see, I guess rather, in the LED, you find a little flat side up here.
Yeah.
So right there, it's on the short leaf side of the LED. So it is on the short side, that flat
That looks
side.
great.
All the way in. And then once you have that in,
Yeah.
you want to go back to the
Looks
other side
good.
of the board, pull the leads out, like that. Don't pull them all the way down, or else you'll have a bit of a hard time cutting. Alright, so. Sorry. A lot of talking, my throat's dying.
I mean, in high school we did work with Arduino, so it reminds me of that.
Oh, there you go.
But like it's been like I don't know.
It's been years, but we'll get you back up to speed, buddy. We'll do it. So, got your soldering iron here. So, when you're soldering, don't touch any metal, or else you'll get a nice nasty burn loose to go along. That's not a very good souvenir. Trust me. You do not want that from your first grade class. This from your first grade.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the name of the game. So once your iron's nice and clean, so what I just did there is just kind of scrubbed off any old junk oxidation outside. And after that, you want to add a little touch of solder to that, make it nice and shiny.
Wait, what's
So this stuff here.
Yeah, if you want to, there's a lot of solder. So another thing you can do is you can use this tool. This is a solder sucker tool. And what you do, I push down, and when I press my button, it sucks. So it will like pull out some solder. So what you can do is like, basically I can,
Once we got the iron,
so you can use it to remove extra solder, or if you wanted to remove a component completely. So if I heat this up,
you want to make sure your tip of the iron is touching both the little circle here and the
and then it kind of absorbs some of that, so you can see it pulled this off and there's like less solder here. So you can try doing that as well, and it'll be easier to smooth if you don't have too much extra. Yeah, exactly. But you need to make sure that it's like liquid first.
right click, delete. Make sure you don't have to
Exactly, and now you have less, and it'll be looks much cleaner. Just don't put the iron on the table ever. Yeah, always put it back. You can put it in here.
Solder wire. You can hold it like a pencil. It's up to you. The iron. Exactly. Don't touch it.
No, you can just. There we go.
Oh, look at that.
10 minutes left, 8 minutes.
Perfect.
After we screw,
Yeah, we'll pack it up. Yeah,
do
exactly.
like a little wrap up thing and wait for coming, and then we'll kind of do an outro and close it out.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
I think they're gonna use it for other stuff.
Sorry about that. Thank you. That's for your first solder joint, which I assume is in a while. That's pretty good. No, I don't think I did. Oh, man. Well, there you go. Even better. So you make sure to hold on to one side of it. You don't want
Beautiful. Great job.
Flies away, you'll be sad.
Well, thank you for
I
coming.
want to clean this up later.
Do we have to level it or?
Okay, great for like the embedded and
Like
stuff.
that.
Nice,
Beautiful.
nice.
All right.
Nice to meet you as
You
well.
do one more LED, yeah? Yeah, feel free to unleash it from the shackle. Don't do that.
All right.
Preloaded, yeah, exactly. It's all good, no worries. It's the first time, so no stress. So, find your LED polarity first. Remember the flat sides. On the flat side, yeah, exactly, beautiful. Yeah, flip it over, fold the leads out, beautiful, beautiful. I'll unplug your iron.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, well, there you go, one step down. So, put the one back on. Yeah, it's all good, no worries. Excellent, good deal, good deal. Yeah. All right, so grab your iron, give it a quick scrub in the wool. Beautiful, beautiful.
So you guys do this on a daily basis? I mean, not daily.
Some of us do, some of us hide behind computer screens. It depends on the person, it depends on the group. So yeah, make sure to hold on to that, doesn't go flying away. I myself, I just hide at the ground station at Loyola campus.
The what station?
The ground station for our satellite. So we have a radio station at Loyola that we can talk to satellites with. It's pretty neat, it's pretty slick, but it's a closet at Loyola, so it's not the greatest.
I've been in worse.
Oh my. I think Loyola is like the second level of hell. I could be wrong. Is the microphone on? Can you hear me say this? But maybe. So yeah, one more solder joint. We're almost done here for the day. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, give that a quick clip. You, my sir, have soldered your first LED. Yeah. Woohoo! Hell yeah. Good deal.
Great.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, add it to the stockpile.
All right.
Beautiful. Well,
Amazing.
thank you so much for attending.
No, thank you so much.
There you go. There we go.
Short and sweet.
I mean, yeah, it's short, sweet. It's an introduction. It's not a full workshop. So
Yeah, obviously.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you.
I didn't.
beautiful.
All right.
So yeah, if you ever want to learn more about soldering, there's the technology sandbox upstairs. I recommend you give it a look.
I might go later.
It's a second floor, LB 205. Not LB, second floor. Just it's kind of like tucked away by the printers and stuff.
Okay, I think I know.
I recommend you give it a look because it's pretty dead there today. So give it a check. Yeah, it's the first day of classes. So everyone's like hustling to get student ID cards, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
So other than that, well, thank you so much for attending.
No, thank you so much.
All right, well, that's going to be the end of our soldering workshop. Thank you to everybody who came, and you can come to the other workshops that we'll have on embedded programming later this afternoon. Thank you.
Or One or the other, but for sure someone.
All right, thank you everyone. Thanks to everyone at Space Concordia for coming into For Space today and activating this workshop. For those of you online and those of you here in the space, thank you for your participation. And just to let you know, we will be back in about 30 minutes with our next workshop, which is an intro to embedded programming. So thank you everybody, and we'll be back up on a live stream in 30 minutes.